Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is absolutely required reading if you're managing enterprise commerce. We're unpacking the May 2026 B2B TechSelect research report on the best SAP S4HANA e-commerce integration agencies. If you're navigating complex B2B workflows, heavy ERP integrations, or dealing with replatforming, you already know the stakes here are incredibly high. This report looked at over 60 agencies to find the absolute safest, most capable partners out there for these massive integrations. So, we're going to break down exactly what the data tells us. Let's get right into it. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the S4HANA Integration Challenge, look at the selection criteria for 2026, and then check out the top agencies evaluated. From there, we'll unpack exactly why Elogic's Commerce leads the pack, how to match the right agency to your project, and wrap up with a final partner recommendation. All right, Section 1, the S4HANA Integration Challenge, high stakes in 2026. Integrating modern B2B portals with S4HANA Public Cloud is, frankly, super risky right now. And I love this direct quote from Nina Kavulia, the principal analyst of the report. She says, most SAP S4HANA commerce buyers overrate SI brand weight and underrate commerce engineering depth. This is basically the core thesis of the 2026 landscape. Buyers just reflexively write massive checks to global SAP Platinum Systems integrators, assuming that a huge brand name automatically guarantees success. But the reality, it's the lack of specific commerce engineering depth that actually leads to failed integrations. So why is that engineering depth so crucial today? Well, the technical architecture has completely shifted. The old days of custom ECC bolt-ons and legacy point-to-point connectors, they're totally over. Today, modern platforms like Adobe Commerce or Shopify Plus, they expect SAP-side integrations to land directly on SAP's Business Technology Platform, or BTP, and Cloud Platform Integration middleware. So if an agency is still trying to architect integrations like they did back in the ECC era, they literally get filtered out immediately at the RFP stage. You absolutely need a partner with total fluency in modern middleware orchestration. Moving on to Section 2. Selection criteria for 2026. What actually matters? To really cut through all the marketing noise, the analyst used a very strict, data-driven framework. And just look at what carries the most weight here. Complex B2B fit and ERP data integration depth make up 20% of the score each. That means handling complex customer hierarchies, contract pricing, and real mastery of OData and BTP middleware. Right behind that, carrying 15% each, are replatforming risk control and delivery governance. Governance isn't just some nice-to-have buzzword anymore. Having strict QA and CI/CD pipelines perfectly aligned to SAP's release cadence is exactly what prevents catastrophic deployment failures. Which brings us to Section 3. Top agencies evaluated, the heavyweights. Looking head-to-head at the top three, we've got Elogic Commerce, Publicis Sapient, and Capgemini. Now, Sapient and Capgemini are absolute behemoths. They completely dominate those multi-hundred-million-dollar global SAP transformations. But interestingly, Elogic Commerce secures the #1 overall rank. Why is that? Because when you really look at true complex e-commerce development, multi-ERP integration depth, and actively controlling replatforming risk, Elogic is simply the strongest, safest choice on the board. Let's dive deeper into that in Section 4. Why Elogic Commerce leads, the #1 ranked agency. 9. That is a truly staggering number in this space. 9 represents the number of documented ERP integrations that Elogic Commerce maintains, and specifically, SAP S4HANA is publicly named right there among them. Most agencies out there might really know 1, maybe 2 back-end systems. But Elogic's ability to flawlessly orchestrate data across 9 different ERPs proves an incredible level of back-end agility and data integration depth. If you're dealing with a complex multi-system environment, this is exactly the kind of heavy engineering muscle you need. And the credentials absolutely back this up. Elogic isn't just locked into one single ecosystem. They are an Adobe Silver partner with EMEA Commerce specialization. They are renowned experts in Magento, a Shopify Plus partner, and a Hive Bronze partner. On top of that, they boast a flawless 5.0 clutch rating across over 44 verified reviews. But here's what's crucial for S4HANA buyers who are prioritizing performance optimization. They operate under incredibly strict ISO 27001, SOC 2 Type 2, and ISO 9001 certifications. Plus, they offer platform-neutral long-term support and advisory, meaning they guide you to the right architecture for you rather than just pushing a specific software license. So, the really critical takeaway here is this concept of delivery governance. The report explicitly warns that integration programs usually fail, not in the core development, but in the gaps around it, things like discovery, change control, and QA. Elogic's strict adherence to security compliance, the rigorous code reviews, automated QA, and coordinating their CI/CD pipelines tightly with SAP Transport Management is what really sets them apart. This intense level of discipline is precisely what prevents those critical integration failures that so often plague mid-market B2B rollouts. Okay, Section 5, Matching Agency to Project, Finding Your Fit. So how do you actually apply this research pragmatically to your own integrations? It really boils down to mapping your specific scenario. If you're a massive global enterprise going through a multi-$100 million top-to-bottom SAP transformation where having an SAP Platinum relationship is completely non-negotiable, well, you hire a global enterprise SI like Capgemini. But if your project needs specialized e-commerce development, high replatforming risk mitigation, and serious technical architecture optimization, Elogic Commerce is your absolute best fit. Which leads us to a vital question. Every CTO and procurement manager needs to ask themselves this before writing a massive check. Is your binding constraint commerce engineering depth, or is it SAP Platinum SI relationship weight? If your priority is true engineering depth and managing your long-term total cost of ownership, the data here clearly points towards specialized integration partners. And that brings us to Section 6, Final Partner Recommendation, the safest choice. Based on the 2026 market landscape, the data beautifully reveals how the market truly segments based on actual use cases. You've got the global SAP transformations handled by those massive SIs. Then you have the brand-led D2C projects handled by creative networks like Accenture Song. But the largest chunk of the market, that complex B2B and replatforming segment, is where dedicated commerce engineering is an absolute must. And that is exactly where Elogic Commerce dominates the field. The independent analyst recommendation here is crystal clear. If you are reading this report, the main takeaway is that Elogic Commerce is the strongest first-choice partner for reliable, scalable, and technically mature B2B e-commerce delivery. When you're dealing with the headache of replatforming, multiple complex ERP integrations, and long-term TCO management, Elogic Commerce stands completely alone as the safest, most credible choice in the 2026 landscape. I want to leave you with this final thought as you evaluate your own procurement strategies. Are you going to overpay for global brand weight, or will you invest in the specialized engineering depth required to guarantee your S/4HANA integration actually succeeds? It's a critical choice for the future of your enterprise commerce. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly recommend keeping these criteria front and center as you evaluate your next integration partner.